First of all, because I wanted to access the first-person controller for reasons you'll see in a little while, and I didn't want to have to type out this whole list in order to have the type. I can here using Unity standard assets.character.firstperson, and this library now controls a reference to the first-person controller that I can access directly without having to drill down into the namespace that script lives in. All of these could be private. I've left them kind of public for debugging purposes. Now, since I'm going to access the first-person controller, the FPC, it turns out that I have to be able to do something to the FPC that requires a modification of the standard assets script. So I had to go into standard assets, find the first-person controller script, edit it, and I needed to add a public Boolean variable reset, initially false, up at the beginning of the class, and then later in the update function, right at the beginning of the update function, I say if reset is true, and initially it's false, then I'm going to do this mouse look init transform mCamera.transform, and I'll reset back to false and return. So I'll abandon the update function for that cycle, for that frame, with this command to reset the camera. What this does is it overrides the first-person controller's desire to point the character in a particular direction that we don't want as we enter a new scene. We're going to be actually orienting the character when it comes into the new scene. And this was the only way to override it. So back to Teleport Manager. Now in the start, we'll catch a component, catch the first-person controller component. Here's where we set don't destroy on load, transform game object. So this is saying that our object is not going to be destroyed. And I'm going to catch also a copy of this start level with the get active screen by name. So this stores in start level that scene that we start in. I'm not sure I ever use this again, but we have it in case we need it. In update, we're similarly going to keep track of the current levels scene name. So in update, and this is all we're doing in update, is keeping track of what the active scene's name is and storing it in current level. Now, all of this happens when our character, through its character controller, collides with something. So on controller collider hit is going to do the heavy lifting here. And I want it to be a coroutine. So instead of void, it's an I enumerator. And this is going to mean that I can do my yield statements that are very important for controlling synchronization of things. So if there's a hit to the collider, this is going to return the object that hit it, and I can check its tag to see if it's a door trigger. If it is, I'm going to do something. If it isn't, I'm all done with on controller collider hit. So the things that I do here, the object that I've hit, the door trigger that I've hit, its name is the same as the name of the scene that I want to go to. So where to is the object that I've hit's name, and I can then use that to load the scene that I want to go to. So if the door goes to the outside or to into the cabin or whatever it is, whatever that scene is, where to is going to go there. Before I leave this scene, I catch the active scene name last level. I'm going to use this to locate the door in front of which I want to end up in the new scene. I want to appear to have come out of the door that goes back to the scene that I just left. So last level is the scene that I'm leaving. Where to is the scene that I'm going to. Now that we're in the new scene, we pause for a fixed update. This lets things kind of manifest. This level is the where to we carried with us. And I'm now going to look for the door whose name corresponds to last level. That's the thing that we caught just as we left the previous scene. Now, because things don't all come into existence at once, I found it was necessary to put a while not go loop in here that spins on this game object find last level. If I just did a GO equal game object find last level, it would often not find it, and then it'd be confused and things didn't work. And this little spinning while loop lets us find that last level as the scene comes into existence. This is one of the reasons I made it a IEnumerator, a coroutine, is so that I could do this yield return null, which is the same as wait for next frame. And so it spins here, waiting one frame each until it finds the game object last level. And the next door then is the go transform, the door that I want to put my character in front of as if it had just come out of the door that goes back to the room that I just left. Having found the door that corresponds to that last scene, I now need to reset the FPC so that this transform rotation works, because otherwise the FPC overrides that. I'm going to position the character 3 units in front of the door. So here's my next door transform direction vector forward. So this puts me 3 units in front of the door. This means when you set up these doors, you have to orient them correctly so that their forward direction points into the room that you're entering. The rotation is the door's rotation, and I'm assigning that to my character transform. Then I wait 1/10 of a second for things to settle down, and I can go on. So what we did, object was the object we collided with. If its tag is door trigger, we catch a copy of its name in the where to. Before we transition to the where to level, we catch the name of the current level, last level. After the transition, we use that last level to find by name the portal, the next door, that leads back into the level that we just left. And we position our characters 3 meters in front of the door, facing, oriented to have the same orientation as our door, and we're done.